Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavala Girivana Hari Gopi Jannavala Girivana Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavala Girivana Hari Gopi Jannavala Girivana Hari Gopi Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Jamuna Tiravana Charinati Jamuna Tiravana Charinati Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavala Girivana Hari Gopi Jannavala Girivana Hari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Srimad Mohan Astatira Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Anandi Gaura Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Premjiko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Maya Purnavidam Ki Jai, Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Gau Premanandi, all glorious Sama devotees, all glorious Sama devotees, all glorious to Sama devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, text number 9 and 10. Sisya ime Bhagavata Parita Patanti Ghayanti Sama Sarhasyam Ajasram Isham Use much Chika Viludita Sumano Vivishri Vivrishti Sarve Bhajanti Risi Gana Diva Veda Sakha Sisya ime Bhagavata Parita Patanti Gayanti Samasara Hasyam Ajasraman Isham. Use much Chikha Viludita Sumano Bhivishti Sarve Bhajant Risigana Iva Veda Sakha Sisya ime Bhagavata Parita Patanti Gayanti Samas Rahasyam Ajasram Isham. Use much Chikha Viludita Sumano Bhavishti Sarve Bhajant Visigana Iva Veda Shaka Sisya ime Bhagavata Parita Patanti Gayanti Samas Rahasyam Ajasram Isham. Use much Chikha Viludita Sumano Bhavishti Sarve Bhajant Visigana Iva Veda Sakha Bhagavata Paritapatanti. Yusmatchika Vilita Sumano Bivishti Sarve Bhajan Sigana Iva Veda Shaka. Sisya Ime Bhagavata Paritapatanti. Gayanti Sama Sarahasya Jantisam. Use much chika vilita sumano bhavishti. So there's no purport. I'll just read the translation and then we'll go to the next verse. Seeing the bumblebees following Purvacitti, Maharaj Agnidhra said, "My dear Lord, the bumblebees surrounding your body are like disciples surrounding your worshipful self. They are incessantly chanting the mantras of the Samaveda and the Upanishads, thus offering prayers to you." He was a little bewildered. Just as great sages resort to the branches of Vedic literatures, the bumblebees are enjoying the showers of flowers falling from your hair. So this is the next verse. Vachang parang charana panchara titirinam Brahman arupa mukharam shavavaratubhyam labdha kadamba ruchir anka vitanka bimbe yasyam alata paridi kva chikvalkamete vacham, please repeat, vacham, the resounding vibration, param, only, charana panjara, of the ankle bells, titinirinam, of the titi birds, Brahman, O Brahmana, arupa, without form, mukharam, able to be very distinctly heard, srinavama, I hear, tubhyam, your, Lubdha, gotten, kadamba, like the kadamba flower, ruchi, lovely color, ankavitanka bimbe, on the beautiful circular hips, yasyam, on which, alata paridi, encirclement of burning cinders, Kva, where? Cha, also. Valkalam, covering cloth. Te, your. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Brahmana, I can simply hear the tinkling of your ankle bells. Within those bells, titiri birds seem to be chirping among themselves. Although I do not see their forms, I can hear how they are chirping. When I look at your beautiful circular hips, I see they are the lovely color of kadamba flowers, and your waist is encircled by a belt of burning cinders. Indeed, you seem to have forgotten to dress yourself. He was quite bewildered. The purport. With lusty desires to see Purvacitti, Agnidhra especially gazed upon the girl's attractive hips and waists. When a man looks upon a woman with such lusty desires, he is captivated by her face, her breast, and her waist. For a woman first attracts a man to fulfill his sexual desires by the beautiful features of her face, by the beautiful slope of her breast, and also by her waist. Purvacitti was dressed in fine yellow silk, and therefore her hips looked like kadamba flowers. Because of her belt, her waist seemed to be encircled by burning cinders. She was fully dressed, but Agnidhra had become so lusty that he asked, "Why have you come naked?" Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namaha Mukram Kotavatalam Pangun Langhayate Grim Yat Kripatar Mahan Vande Sri Gurun Dinadaram Vachikapatribhischa Kripa Sinu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. A devotee once asked Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, what is the cause of all the success you've had in spreading Krishna consciousness in such a short time?" And Prabhupada said, "It's an open secret. It's the beauty of Krishna." Krishna is very attractive in so many features. He's known as Bhagavan. Beauty, Krishna is so attractive. Just like the gopis, they considered Lord Brahma, it's mentioned in the Nectar Devotion, to be a dunce, because he made eyelids. We couldn't see the beauty of Krishna. Now during this class we're going to blink our eyes so many times we don't even notice. But they noticed. Krishna is so attractive. They didn't. That moment just felt terrible to them. They couldn't see Krishna. So attractive, so beautiful. Can't imagine how beautiful Krishna is. He's creating all the beautiful things. Just like this morning we had a nice sunrise. You know? Sunrises are so beautiful. You know? The sunsets, and there's flowers. What is it? Prabhupada said that the blossomed flower is the smile of Krishna. So many beautiful flowers, just like this kadamba flower. In Australia we have this huge kadamba tree. Oh, on the farm. You ever been to the farm? Or did you go to the farm? Yeah, huge. And this kadamba flower is so fragrant. I mean, it's just like, and so beautiful. So he's comparing her waist to this kadamba flower. So yeah, this is the flower is the smile of Krishna. So, and what is it? The whispering, the chirping of the bees is the whispering of Krishna. Right? So Krishna is very attractive, very beautiful, much more beautiful than the most attractive woman on this planet. Krishna is very beautiful, or more handsome than any handsome man on this planet. Much more attractive. And therefore, so many devotees were attracted to Krishna. And Krishna is very wealthy, just like we have a person here on this planet, the wealthiest man in the world, multi-billionaire. But is he very intelligent? Or is he also very beautiful? Very knowledgeable? No. And we have a person on this planet, the strongest man in the world. I think he lifted something like 570 pounds, just dead weight. But is he the most beautiful? No. And Krishna, he holds the record for heavyweight lifting. I don't know how heavy Govardhan Hill was. I don't think they had a weigher. There was no scale to weigh Govardhan Hill, but it was heavy. Huh? And it was wet. There was water on it, India was pouring down water. Yeah, when it's wet and you're soaking down water, Pinky of the left hand, strong. Krishna is very strong. But he doesn't look, sometimes you see these weightlifters, they just get bulky muscles. It looks a little bit disgusting, They got to walk like this, they get muscle bound. But Krishna just looks like a young 16-year-old boy. Actually, how old was he when he lifted Govardhan Hill? 7 or 11, something. That's where the word 7-11 came. One of the two, 7 or 11. He was young and didn't look, bulky, muscled or anything. So beauty, wealth, strength, fame. Krishna is the most famous. I don't know who the most famous person is now in the world, but actually, good. We don't want to contaminate the atmosphere. But Krishna, he's always the most. Everybody has heard of God. He's always the most famous. Of course, what they know about God, that's another thing. But he's very, very famous. So beauty, wealth, strength, fame, renunciation. Krishna is very renounced. It's like he's created so many planets, but he doesn't go and try to enjoy them. He just creates them and leaves them for the living entities to try to enjoy. But he's renounced. And when the gopis heard Krishna's flute in the dead of night, they all went there to dance with Krishna. And what did Krishna say? Girls, it's so late. There's wild animals here. It's dangerous. You go home. This is not good. Your parents are going to be upset, and your husbands and brothers and sisters. You should go home. These are the most beautiful women in all the creation. He's telling them to go home. That's renounced. And Bhishma, he was the most famous as a staunch brahmachari. But he said, I can't do what Krishna did. In the dead of night with all these beautiful women, telling him to go home. I couldn't do that. So Krishna's the best brahmachari. Very attractive. And there's in the pastimes of Ramanujacharya, there was a person who was in Sri Rangam. He was walking through Sri Rangam, and he had an umbrella and a fan, and he had the umbrella covering an attractive lady that he had, not his wife, just he was very attracted to this beautiful lady. So he was fanning her and an umbrella. And people in Sri Rangam, they're very devoted to Krishna. And they were surprised. And one devotee mentioned to Ramanujacharya, look at this person, this shameless person. So Ramanujacharya told one of his disciples, go and tell him to come. I want to speak to him. So he was surprised that such a great acharya wants to speak to him. Like, wow, what's this about? So he asked this Dhanur Das, you have no shame? Here, this is Sri Rangam, holy place, or Ranganath is, and you're walking through the streets, fanning this lady with you have no shame? He said, well, Gurudev, what can I say? She's just so attractive. She's so beautiful. I'm just mesmerized by her beauty, her eyes and her form, and I'm sorry, I'm mesmerized. And Ramanujacharya said, well, if I show you some eyes and a form more beautiful than that, will you give up such shameless activity? He said, oh yes, immediately. All right, you come tonight. Come to my ashram. Okay. So he took him to the temple. Sri Rangam, there's Ranganath temple. Beautiful, large, beautiful deity. So he showed the deity to this Dhanudar. And upon seeing the beauty of Ranganath, tears will come into his eyes. By the mercy of Ramanujacharya, he appreciated the beauty of Ranganath. And he became a great devotee. And actually this lady that he had been attracted to was not his wife. He was just attracted. So she, upon finding out that he became a great devotee, she wanted to marry him. So they both became very good devotees by the mercy of Lord Ranganath and Ramanujacharya. So there's one pastime in this with this couple. They weren't brahmanas, but Ramanujacharya was very pleased by their service, and he would sometimes he would go to the river to bathe, and he would call Dhanurdas to be there, and he would hold his arm, and he would take him. His disciple would take him, and then when he would come back, a brahmana would take him back to the ashram. But some of the brahmana disciples, they couldn't understand why is Gurudev, or why is he taking such intimate service from this person? He's not even a brahmana. They even had some ill feelings toward Ramanujacharya because they thought he was kind of like slipping from the standard, taking such intimate service from this person who's not even a brahmana. So word got to Ramanujacharya about this. So he decided to let them know their place. So one evening, while they were all resting, all the brahmanas, his disciples were resting, he went and he ripped some of their dhoti. Sometimes he ripped it off or just ripped it. And then the next morning, they were all very upset. Who ripped my dhoti? What not? And they were all upset because all of their dhotis had been ripped. They were all disturbed, very upset. And then he told one of his disciples, this Dhanudar and his wife, they're attached householders, Let's show how attached they are. I'm going to ask Dhanudar to come, and I'm going to speak to him. And while I'm speaking to him, the two of you go and you take the ornaments off of his wife, and we'll see how attached they are. So he was there, Dhanurdas, he was there talking to Ramanujacharya, and they went into the house, Dhanudar's house, and she was laying down. She wasn't sleeping, but she was resting. And they came and they were taking the jewelry off her hand. She was laying on one side, and she was taking the jewelry off her hand. And then she moved a little bit, and they said, oh, she's going to wake up, so they left. But actually she was just moving to roll over so they can take the jewelry from the other hand. Because they were thinking, the brahmacharis, they must be very, very poor, so let them get the rest of the jewelry off my other hand. But they got scared and left. So then they returned to the ashram of Ramanujacharya, and then he understood, all right, they had done their business, and then he told Damodar Das, okay, you can go back to your home now. And then he told these two that had taken the jewelry, go and watch them, go listen to see how attached they are. You know, when he goes home and he finds out. So he did that. Damodar went back, and then he when he went home, he found out that his wife said that, you know, the brahmanas, these brahmacharis, they must be very, very poor, because they come and they were taking the jewelry off my hand, and I understood that, and then I turned around so they could take the rest, and they got scared and left, and he got upset because, well, why did you move so fast? You scared them. You should have gone a little slower, so you wouldn't have scared them, and then they could have gotten the rest. You foolish woman, just see, you're too attached, you know. So the brahmacharis are hearing this and like, whoa, they're not as attached as we thought they were. They wanted to give the jewels to us. So then they went back and they told Ramanujacharya that actually they weren't as attached as we thought. So the next morning he called all the brahmacharis together. And he said, do you remember when your dhotis had been ripped and you were all upset and angry? And they said, yeah. And now we've just found out that Damodar Das, he's actually very detached. He wanted to give all the jewels of his wife to the brahmanas, to the brahmacharis. And he chastised his wife because she was too attached. Now look at the difference between the two of you. You're so attached, you're so disturbed because your dhotis are ripped, and here he's upset because he couldn't give all the jewels to the brahmanas. And they all put their heads down in disgust. You know, they were criticizing him, but they themselves were so attached to such a little thing, you know, their dhotis. So the beauty of Krishna, you know, he became attracted to the beauty of Krishna. So this is the real beauty. But unfortunately everybody is bewildered by this, as Agnidhra, he's bewildered by Purvacitti. And practically everybody in the world is bewildered by this attraction to the opposite sex, men to women, women to men. There's an interesting example that Hridayananda Maharaj gives. It's like, you know, the story of Hansel and Gretel. They were lost in the forest and trying to find their way back. And while they're lost, looking around, trying to figure out what to do, they came across this this gingerbread house, and all this candy is there, and cookies and cake, and oh, this is very nice, very nice. You know, so they started taking pieces off the cake and eating. But within the house, there was a witch. And she came out and she said, oh, such cute little children, please come into my home. I have so many nice things for you. So they went into the house and she's giving them all these nice sweets and foodstuffs. But what was her intention? To make them fat. And she was going to eat them. So, you know, Hansel, he got an understanding of this, and he threw her in the oven and cooked her, killed her. But this is the material. This is the situation. We become attracted. Man becomes attracted to a woman. Woman becomes attracted to a man. Looks very attractive, but then, you know, surprise, you know, the witch of Maya. Jeev Jago, Gora Chandrabola. You know, how long are you going to sleep on the lap of the witch Maya? You know, she's very attractive, but you become attracted, then you become bewildered, entangled, and so much suffering is involved there. So when a man thinks that the goal of life is sense gratification, becomes bewildered. Why? Because he doesn't know that he is the soul within. Once you get that knowledge, just like all of us, we are all also attracted to the opposite sex. You know, still, it's there. But when we got knowledge of the soul, everything changed. When we got knowledge of Krishna, everything changed. I'm not this body. I'm the soul within. Satisfying this body doesn't bring real happiness, doesn't bring real pleasure. Satisfying Krishna, this brings real pleasure. Yeah. So yeah, this is the real happiness of the soul. So much happiness is there, yeah, in serving Krishna. Just like Rupa Goswami says, I do not know how much nectar there is in the two syllables, Krishna. When I chant the holy name of Krishna, I desire to have many millions of ears to hear and millions of tongues to chant the holy name. And when the holy name enters into the courtyard of my heart, it stops all the activities of my mind, and I experience unlimited happiness. So this is happiness. Just chanting the names of Krishna, you know, serving Krishna. It's like there's a instance of a devotee who had been instructed by his spiritual master to read the Bhagavad Gita, but he was illiterate. What to do? So he was trying his best. But others, there's other brahmanas there who knew he couldn't read. They said, "Oh, Brahmana, what are you doing?" And he understood they're just making fun of him. But then Lord Chaitanya came. And he said, "Oh, Brahman, I see that you're reading the Bhagavad Gita there." Now this actually he was a Brahman also. But he could understand Lord Chaitanya, he's not making fun. He's serious. I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita here. I'm trying to read the Bhagavad Gita. My spiritual master has instructed me. And Lord Chaitanya said, "But I see there's tears coming from your eyes. I understand that you said that you're illiterate, you can't read, you're trying to read. But there's tears coming from your eyes. How is this?" He said, "Oh, when I picture in my mind that Krishna, he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and he's a chariot driver. When I think of this, I just think, my Lord is just so wonderful, so wonderful. The tears come to my eyes when I just have this picture in my mind." And Lord Chaitanya said, "You're the actual scholar of the Bhagavad Gita." You know, because he understood the greatness of Krishna. Yeah. That Krishna is so kind that he'll be the devotee of his devotee. He'll be the servant of his devotee. Yeah. So this is the real happiness, serving Krishna, serving the spiritual master. Yeah. But people, unfortunately, they don't have this knowledge, so we have to give it out. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yadindri prita aparnoti. When one thinks that sense gratification is the goal of life, one becomes mad after the sense gratification, engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. Yeah. But these sinful activities, what is the result of these sinful activities? They got to take birth again. And these sinful activities, they don't bring real happiness anyway. So much suffering. Natatasya bhavat klesha bandhaschanya prasangataha. Twice in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this statement is there. Krishna says, Natatasya bhavat klesha bandhaschanya prasangataha. Of all types of suffering and bondage that arise in this material world, none is greater than the suffering and bondage that one experiences in the association of the opposite sex. None is greater. Yeah. This is God speaking. This is God speaking. There's no suffering greater. And we all know this. We have so many friends, so many breakups and divorces and things, just horrible experiences that people have had because of this association with the opposite sex. But still, they're mad after this sense gratification. So we have to let them know. That's why Srila Prabhupada stressed so much this book distribution, preaching Krishna consciousness. Because they're in darkness. Tamasi ma jyotirgama. Come out of the darkness and go to the light. Krishna Surya Sama Moya Hoya Andhakara Yahan Krishna Tahinai Maya Ardikara. That Krishna, he is compared to light, like the sun. And Maya is compared to darkness. And wherever there is the sun of Krishna consciousness, there is no darkness of ignorance. So when we go out and we distribute these books, we're giving light. Yeah, you can take that brick away and close the door. Thank you. So when we distribute these books, when we go out on Harinam, we're giving light to the people. And when we distribute prasadam also enlightens people, purifies. This is all about purification. All these things are very purifying. Anything related to Krishna is purifying. So, the more people come in contact with Krishna, the more people become happy. And this is what we want. Everybody wants happiness. So the more there is connection to Krishna, the more people become happy. Now, some people think that well, you people in the Hare Krishna movement, you have these restrictions. But this is what they're thinking is happiness. Just like that Lord of Zetlands. He wanted to be a Brahmana, and devotees said, well, yeah, just follow these 4 regular principles. Impossible. They think that this is life. And we're saying, no, give them all up, give this up, serve Krishna, you'll be happy. So someone might think, well, Krishna, he's like a party pooper. These are the attractive things in the world: gambling, intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex. And Krishna's saying, no, don't do these things. Serve me, you'll be happy. But no, Krishna is inviting us to the real party. The real party is in the spiritual world, where there is no hangovers. Here people have a party, they take all kinds of intoxication, they have hangovers, and they feel terrible the next day. Sometimes they vomit and all kinds of horrible things. But in the spiritual world, this is the real party, the Sankirtan party, glorifying Krishna. So we want to invite people to the eternal party in the spiritual world. Here you want to have a party, you got to spend so much money, and they got to drink all this alcohol and take all this intoxication. Horrible. Horrible. No happiness there. So I got one little story for you, book distribution for you. It's interesting story that there was 5 Gurukulis out. They were camping, and they had one friend. He wasn't this is in America. Yeah, right here in America. California. I'm not exactly sure where. But they went on a camping trip. 5 Guru Coolies and one friend who wasn't a devotee, wasn't a Guru Coolie. So they were at this place where there was a river and a waterfall, and they would jump off and this cliff and swim, and kind of like what we do sometimes. So they were doing this, and this one boy that wasn't a devotee, somehow he got caught in the current too far, and he was being pulled to the cliff, to the waterfall. And it was maybe it wasn't, I don't know if they have a place like that in California, maybe it was another state. Anyway, he was going towards the waterfall, and it was pretty steep. And as he was going down the river, he was calling out, because there was one devotee there, Guru Coolie named Ram. So he's calling out, Ram! Ram! Save me! Ram, save me! He's calling, Ram, save me! He's calling, and Ram's trying to get him, but he couldn't get him. Went over the waterfall, left his body. But it's interesting. He's calling out, Ram, save me! Shouting, Ram, save me! Went back to Godhead, right? So before he went swimming, he asked one devotee to hold some money. He had $60 there. So he told the devotee, hold my money, I'm going to go swim. So that $60 was given to me by this Guru Coolie. Vijay, please, this is $60 from this person who left his body. Use it for book distribution. If someone doesn't have money, just give it to him. In the name of this nice boy. He was actually there, nice bond. So because of him, many people got some free books. Yes, Javeda Prabhu, we have a microphone right in front of you there.
When did this happen?
This happened, well, I got that Lakshmi, that must have been maybe 95. Yeah.
Great story.
Any questions or?
I have a question.
Vijay Krishna, Hare Krishna. Well, no other hands came up, so you're open. Go for it.
Vijaya Prabhu, my humble obeisances. Thank you for your indispensable class. Prabhu, the quote from the purport related to text 10 is as follows. Quote, she was fully dressed, but Agnidhra had become so lusty that he asked, quote, why have you come naked, end quote. Prabhu, in accordance with this quote, lust can make us go for seeing and feeling what is not good for us. We think that becoming lustful can help us in terms of enjoying life, but in accordance with this quote, it is not like that. Lust is there to make our lives miserable. And you said in your class that Maya, he can be compared to a witch. And I was reflecting upon this concept of witch. A witch, normally, what she does is that she enchants you in such a way that ultimately you become her servant in order to help her reach her purposes, and her purposes we know are not good for us. Even some witches, they enchant you in such a way that you become so bewildered that ultimately she is there for eating you or devouring you, like a cannibal. So, Prabhu, my question is related to the difference between the good witch and the bad witch. We know that Maya Devi is a servant of Lord Krishna, and when she is there bewildering you, what is her purpose? to make us harm or to train us in order for us to understand that what she has in store for us is not good for us. What is good for us is going back home, back to Godhead. What is the difference between the good witch and the bad witch?
Wow, interesting question.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So, so Maya, as you said, is actually a devotee. And she's not even a witch. She's a devotee. But she tests us. And the reason she tests us is to help us to become strong. Just like a professor in a university, he gives tests to the students. And they get harder, and they get harder, and they get harder. Now, it's not out of enmity that the professor is making the test harder and harder and harder. The purpose is so that the student gets to know the subject better and better and better. Right? So, Maya puts tests towards us to help us to become strong. And sometimes we fail the test. So we have to be ready for the test. Just like when students take tests, they study to get ready for the test. So we also have to study Prabhupada's books scrutinizingly, because tests will come. Prabhupada said 90% of my disciples, they'll leave. It may be that percentage right now. So many have left. Couldn't pass the test. So we had to be ready for Maya's test. Our professor, she's a professor. And she's giving us tests. So we had to be ready for them. And she has, and there's living entities in this world who are evil. There's women in this world that are evil, and they're the bad witch. They want to bring, even believe it or not, I don't know if it still exists, but in our society there were women that would shoot to make sannyasis fall down. Shoot for it. They would try to get sannyasis to fall down. They get an extra mark, you know. They get a sannyasi to fall down. Yeah. Unfortunately. So, yeah, there's evil women, there's evil men in this world. But Maya herself, she's a devotee, and she's only thinking of our welfare. She wants us to grow spiritually. But we have to be careful. Look out for those bad witches. And pray to Maya. She's a devotee. Pray that I can be a good student of Krishna, that I'm able to pass all the tests that you put before me. Is that okay?
Oh, Vijaya Prabhu, better than okay, if I may say it. Spectacular answer to my question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
We have another question here.
Go
ahead.
Get wonderful. Your answers are spectacular. So.
We have a question here. Dr. Rob, right? Bob.
Hare Krishna, Vijay. Thank you so much for the class. So in light of this test, the failing of the test, we might not pass every test, but some of the advancement comes with realizing that we failed, and then act appropriately. Correct?
Yeah. Prabhupada gives the example, just like a child is walking, 1-year-old child, or he's trying to walk and he falls down. Then he gets up and he tries to walk again. Then eventually he's able to walk. So sometimes that's there. We're trying, but we have some difficulty. We have some fall. You stand up and you give it another try. And even if we're not able to pick up, just like some devotees, they leave and they don't pick up. But Krishna says, Neha Bikramanasosti. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. A little advancement on this path protects from the most dangerous type of fear. So whatever we do, we start off, we still have that in our next life. So this is the kindness of Krishna. Nothing is lost. We continue on in our devotional service. But we should be very careful in this lifetime that we could continue on and just serve Krishna and hopefully just go right back home to the real party in the spiritual world. Wait, David wanted to say something here.
I think that Prabhupada said that it's likely that it's happened in this life, that we didn't pass all the tests in last life, and so this is where we are.
And we're picking up from our last life. Even Prabhupada says, anybody who engages in devotional service, that means he's engaged in some devotional service in his past. Picking it up.
Yeah.
Yes, Devavrata Prabhu.
I was just also thinking in the point of test that it's not necessarily that the tests get harder, but they're rather gauged towards the qualification of the student. You know, it's the same kind of test for according to where the student is. For a first grader, the test that they have to get is very extremely hard. But then also for the person who's studying quantum physics, it's extremely hard. But it's not that the test for quantum physics will be given to the first grader.
Yeah.
According to the qualification.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Was there another question? Prakash.
The translation, Prabhu, he's addressing her as Brahmana, or it's a bit strange.
Yeah, well he remember he couldn't figure out, is this a girl or a boy? Right? And what are those things? He couldn't figure out. He was a little bewildered, you know. So he thought it was another Brahmana, you know. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah.